Hello, Da Vinci. Welcome back. This is Thursday, the 25th of February's English lesson. Can I learn the beginning of the story map and use speech marks? So let's get straight in. Listen here, magnise, pencil, your work from yesterday. In today's lesson, we're going to be continuing to learn the beginning of the story map. Then we're going to learn how to use speech marks. So we've got what we did yesterday. We're going to recap over that first paragraph. So I've got mine in front of me here. Now, I haven't got the sheet behind me today. I've left it at school. How frustrating. So we're going to have to just go through it on the board together. So if I get my pens, I'm going to underline what bit I'm on. So it was Grandma was helping Katie plant some seeds in the garden when it started to rain. The rain will make everything grow, said Grandma delightedly. What shall we do now? Said Katie. Grandma, who loves art, suggested that they go to an art gallery. So that's that part there. Stop. Super job. Right. Now, for today's lesson, we're going to see whether we can use speech marks. Now, speech marks are there to show when a character is speaking. So we've got the speech marks 66, remember? We draw it as a 66, they go up. And then when somebody finishes talking, we've got the 99. So the proper way to punctuate is the person will say something, and that's what they've said is in our speech marks. We'll then put a comma at the end of what they've said if it's continuing, or if it's the end of a sentence, we can have a full stop. Then we have our 99 to show that they've stopped speaking, and then we have the person that was speaking. So here we've got, oh good, said Grandma. So who's saying these words? Well, Grandma's saying these words. Oh good. So we've got 66, oh good, comma 99, said Grandma. Then that's the end of that sentence, full stop. We've got some more speaking here. 66, capital letter. The rain will make everything grow. Full stop, 99. Now, because we haven't got a said Grandma at the end of this, and it continues on the same line, we can still tell that that's Grandma talking. The next line down, even though we've got space, it's dropped a line down. Now it says 66, somebody else is talking now, capital letter. But what shall we do now? Now we've got, because it's a question, it needs a question mark. And we've got to imagine that that question mark is a little bit like our comma. It goes inside the 66 and the 99. Remember that they hug everything in, so everything goes inside our speech marks. Then we've got said Katie. So who said, but what shall we do now? Well, it was Katie that said that. And because that's then the end of the sentence, we put a full stop there after the word Katie. We then dropped another line, started with another 66, capital letter, let's go to the gallery. Now, it's just the end of the sentence that, let's go to a gallery, but because we haven't said who has said that sentence and it's different to Katie, we then need a comma, we need a 99, and we need to say, said Grandma. Then we've got our next 66, capital letters. You always have fun there. Full stop, 99. Now the full stop's there because it's the end of that sentence, and that means it must be carrying on from the person beforehand. Otherwise, it'd have to say, replied Katie or said Katie at the end, which means it must be continuing with the person that was speaking before, which is Grandma. So, oh good was said by Grandma because it says said Grandma afterwards. But what shall we do now? Well, it said Katie. Katie said that afterwards. Then this green line says, you always have fun there. Now, it doesn't say said grandma at the end of this, which means we have to assume it was the person that was last talking that's continued talking. So it's said grandma. So grandma says this line as well. Now, we're going to use speech marks and we're going to write out the speech bubble here. So we need to start with our 66, and that's the start of our speech. Shall we go to the gallery? That's what grandma said. So we need a capital S because it's the beginning of our sentence. Shall we go? Now I'm copying it out exactly as I wrote it, as if I did it yesterday. Carrying on my work. Shall we go to the gallery? Now, this isn't the end of her speaking. Well, it is the end of her speaking, sorry, but it's not a statement. It's a question, and because it's a question, it means it needs a question mark. Then we need to put our 99 to end our speech, though nobody else is talking. But right now, we do not know who was speaking. So because it's all part of the same sentence, we need to include said grandma. And grandma is the name of someone, so she needs a capital letter. And then we need a full stop to end our whole sentence. Now, you might be thinking, well, Mr. Watkiss, you've always told us that when you've got something like a full stop or an exclamation mark or a question mark, the next sentence is with a capital letter. You're right. But because it's speech, when somebody's talking, we need to find out who's talking, which means we can't have a brand new sentence of a capital said grandma, because that then stands on its own as if it's a different sentence. But it links to the last sentence, and the last sentence was, shall we go to the gallery? So you've got to kind of imagine when a question mark or an exclamation mark is in your speech marks, you've got to kind of imagine that it's kind of pretending to be a comma, and then you can still have your lowercase said grandma. Now, the one problem with saying said grandma is that when we've got speech, we need to tell the person who's reading who's talking. And every single time I read it, I hear said grandma, said Katie, said Mimi, said Zazu, said. I'm going to fall asleep. It's very boring. So I'm going to put in, instead of said, I'm going to use a different word for said. Now it could be, shall we go to the gallery? Asked grandma. That's another way of telling me that grandma was talking, but it's a different word than said. You could have had asked grandma. You could have had suggested grandma. Suggested. So when we've got another version, when somebody's talking back, we can add in some different ones. So 66, my apologies, 66, capital letter. Put in your whole sentence. Then you either end it with, if it's a question, you need a question mark. If somebody's shouting, you might need an exclamation mark. Or if it's the end of a sentence, you need a comma. Now, it would make sense you putting a full stop there, but it needs to be joined together with the said grandma. So the full stop must go right at the very end. So that comma would either go there before the 99, or it would be a question mark or an exclamation mark. Hope that makes sense. Let's do another version together, okay? So let's move on to the next page. Let's go of the sunflowers, Zazu. Starting off, we can tell Katie is currently talking because it's not Zazu, because she's saying the word Zazu. I wouldn't say stop talking, Mr. Watkiss, because that's me talking to myself. That's a bit weird. So it must be Katie talking to Zazu. So we're going to start off with our 66, to start our speech. Capital letter to start off our new sentence. Let me just move over onto the same line. Let go of the sunflowers. Sure, I keep my handwriting super neat. Whoa. Sunflowers. And then I'm going to draw up another line so I don't squeeze it in. Zoo. Now, yesterday I might have used an exclamation mark to say that, which means I need to include my exclamation mark now. Now remember, the 66 and 99 hug everything in. They hug it all in. So you've got to imagine that the 99 is going to hug in that exclamation mark. Now, that exclamation mark, don't tell anyone, it's kind of pretending to be a comma, because we haven't really finished this sentence. Because what have we forgotten? We haven't said who's talking. So that exclamation mark is kind of pretending to be a comma to continue our sentence, which means we don't need a capital letter because it's just a pretend exclamation mark. It's hiding. So then I need to put in said Katie, because that's who was talking. And then what do I need at my end of the sentence? A full stop. Now, just like before, said, bit of a boring word. Don't like said. Unfortunately, it's the one that we all learn, but don't really like said. So I'm going to add in another word. Now, Katie was getting quite anxious about Zazu breaking the flowers, so she might have shouted. Let go of the sunflowers, Zazu, shouted Katie. Full stop. Perfect sentence. I've got my 66 capital letter, my exclamation mark, question mark, or comma, depending on what it is. And for this one, it's definitely exclamation mark. Then I've got my 99. Then I've got my said words. That's either said, shouted, replied, asked, depending on what the sentence is. Then I've got who's talking, and then I've got my full stop. So a lot to remember, but it definitely makes your writing 100 times better. So let's see whether we can do the next one. Oh, I say that. We don't need many examples today because I'm going to make sure that you've got the challenges to give it a go straight away. So we've got challenge 1. I've given you the sentence of, number 1, can you help me? Oh no, the flowers. Now I need you to use your work from yesterday to write the speech bubbles. So the work you did yesterday, you're going to write speech. You're going to write the speech marks. So remember the 66 and 99 using the speech bubble words here. Now I've made one mistake. I've said, can you help me? And I've put an exclamation mark. What needs to go there instead of an exclamation mark? And then to end it, you need to tell me who is talking. So 66, the sentence, then your punctuation, whether it's an exclamation mark, maybe a question mark or a comma, then your 99, then who said it. Challenge 2, what could Katie be saying here? What could she be saying? What could Katie be saying in this picture? Using your speech bubbles that you made yesterday, you can add in your 99 and your 66 and your 99 and who said it. I'd rather you use a super word other than said. You can maybe use it once, but not twice. Challenge 3, you've got your 4 pictures from yesterday. You can use your same work you did yesterday, but building up on it now, you're going to add your 66 and 99 and then who was talking. Challenge 3, an extra super challenge. You could try and use a different word instead of said, just like I've said then. Shouted, cried, exclaimed. That means as if it's a bit like shouting. Gasped. That means you're really shocked. And yelled. Another word for shouting. So that's everything for today. Bit of a trickier one, but I think hopefully I've explained it well enough for you to be able to understand the punctuation. Thank you very much, Da Vinci. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.